Hey guys! Been a long time since we've actually talked in this Dual Destiny games, huh? I'm just letting you know, this never was, we never stopped doing this. It's, mostly just scheduling conflicts with the entire cast that we kind of just slowed down quite a bit on doing the fan dub. But, considering how long it was taking, I didn't want to hold up on this a little too long anymore. So, I'm back. I'm going to be doing commentary slash really awful voices again. I hope you guys enjoyed what fandoms we did do of this case so far. I'd like to come back and try to do it again with them if we ever get the chance, but we'll see. I do like to finish this considering we kind of left this up in the air for a while. But last we left off, we just finished the entire investigation, so now we're starting day one of the trial. And Sykes just had like a major breakdown, that's all I remember. So let's begin. I think the volume is really loud though. Let me lower that first. Yeah, that's loud. Um, let's start. Yes, let's start there. Okay. I apologize also. I haven't voiced most of these characters in this Dual Destinies for quite some time. So, some people might seem a little off.
I did a little research. I looked into those special cyclocks you mentioned, Mr. Nick.
You did? That's great. I really appreciate it.
A red cyclock protects a secret a person is consciously trying to hide. If a person falls under questioning, the lock breaks and the truth comes out.
Yep, that's exactly how I got the truth out of Detective Fulbright and Director Cosmos.
But a black cyclock protects a secret from the deepest place in a person's heart.
A secret that the person isn't even consciously aware of. So even they don't know it's there. Is it Athena? I don't even remember how to say Athena.
Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself.
Okay, so all I have to do is break the cyclocks.
According to my research, a black cyclock is like a heavy chain wrapped directly around one's heart. If they're ripped off by force, it could cause permanent damage to a person's soul.
In other words, if I'm not careful, I could traumatize Athena for good. Pearls, could you stay by Athena's side? She must be suffering under the weight of such a heavy burden.
Alright, but will you be alright by yourself, Mr. Nick?
I'm up against Edgeworth. I have to be able to give this trial all of my focus and strength.
And you can't do that if I'm here. I'll just hold you back.
No, that's not it. I just meant I can relax and concentrate if I knew you were with Athena. You're the only one who can do it, Pearls.
Alright, I'll do it then. Good luck, Mr. Nick.
Good. Now that my mind is at ease, I better get ready. I'll just tidy up the evidence and take out what I don't need. It's time to end this nightmare that started 7 years ago. Let's go! It's a good thing it didn't take 7 years to do this fandom! Okay, December 20th. Defense, prosecution, and judge. There are even people in the gallery. The roof has been completely blown off and the walls have collapsed. But today, this ruin is my battleground. Court, or some facsimile thereof, is now in session for the trial of Athena Sykes.
Hold it! Not a facsimile, old man. This is a proper official trial. Take this more seriously or you'll start hearing the bones of the hostages snap.
Please try not to upset Miss Blackquill. I'm begging you. Court is now in session for the very serious and very proper trial of Athena Sykes. This is no trial. It's nothing more than a ridiculous farce.
What did you say?
Edgeworth, did you not hear what I just said about to his honor? However, this ridiculous farce has a very important meaning to our legal system. Recall the case of the UR1 incident. in which a prosecutor was found guilty of murder. The case ushered in the odious dark age of the law. I have to make a video at some point where I make a counter of all the times the dark age of the law comes up. I see what you're after. If we can find the real truth behind that case today... Precisely. The darkness will be dispelled and glory shall be restored to the court system. Prosecutor Edgeworth, you sound as if you know something of this truth. I do indeed. A new suspect has emerged in the UR1 case. For 7 years, Simon Blackquill has refused to speak in order to cover for someone else. Brace yourself, Phoenix. Here it comes. I'm sorry, Wright, but the situation is what it is, and I must do what I must. The prosecution moves to indict Athena Sykes on the count of murder in the first degree. Cutscene!
Regardless the circumstance, I intend to question the defendant with all I have. For that is a part of my creed.
Then you better bring it.
If the two of you are ready. Court is now in session for the trial of Athena Sykes.
Your Honor, the defense was born ready.
The prosecution is also ready.
What is up with those proportions, man? Freaking Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright had better cutscenes than these. I'm sorry, but the cutscenes in this are like... They're nice, but then the quality just kind of goes at some points. The immense tension between us. It's like we're picking up right where we left off. It's my duty to clear Prosecutor Blackquill of false accusations and end this insanity. But I have no intention of losing Miss Sykes either. She's a very promising young lawyer. I know without a doubt that Athena is innocent. Athena. But I don't think Prosecutor Blackquill did it either. So, do you have any clue who was responsible for the sabotage? At the very least, I know it wasn't Simon Blackquill. I don't know enough to identify the true culprit, but it's clear what that person is. To put it simply, a spy. The true culprit is a spy. It's going to be hard to convince anyone of that when I barely believe it myself. But I don't have a choice if I want to save Athena and Blackquill and expose the spy. Now then, Chief Prosecutor Edgeworth. No need for the Chief Prosecutor, bet your honor. I am here as a simple prosecutor. Very well, your opening statement, please, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Although I've been known of late to give an impressive opening statement myself. In all the trials I have ever seen, only the prosecution gives an opening statement. Of course, you're right. I was just joking, just having a little fun. So he wasn't doing them just out of fear. Interesting. Let's start with a brief overview of the UR1 incident. The incident occurred at the Cosmos Space Center 7 years ago, on October 7th. The victim, psychologist Metis Sykes, was killed in the robotics lab on the 4th floor. Athena's mother. Simon Blackquill, a young prosecutor at the time, was found guilty of the crime. There were two deciding factors that led to his guilty verdict. 1. Blackquill was the only person in the corridor to the lab at the time of the murder. And 2. This photo, which captured the moment of the crime. Very incriminating evidence indeed. It would appear that the only conclusion is that Prosecutor Blackquill did indeed. Hold it! Are you kidding me? I'm not accepting any conclusion of the kind. This opening statement is over. Now hurry up and call the witness. Excuse me, Miss Blackquill, but we must follow proper procedures for these things, you know. Or perhaps we should hear her wishes. Heed her wishes. Your Honor, she is the trial's sponsor, after all. Besides, the courtroom is chilly, and sitting for too long can't be good for your back. Oh, you're very kind to show such concern for the welfare of the elderly. Trying not to fall too much into that British accent. As skilled as ever at playing the court puppeteer, I see. The prosecution calls its first witness. A witness who've decided to bring forth new testimony after 7 long years. New testimony? And just who is this witness anyway? 'Tis a mystery. No, what? Oh. Bobby! Bobby Fulbright's the name. In justice we trust. What are you doing here? I'm just here to speak for the hostage taker, Miss Aura Blackquill. She says she's too busy, what with confining and threatening the hostages and all. That doesn't seem to stop her from constantly chiming in through Klonko. I'm nothing more than observer in this. Do your best. I'm watching you. Believing her brother innocent, Miss Blackquill has been conducting her own investigation. And though her current actions are hardly lawful, I think we can at least hear her theory. I have here Miss Blackwill's notes on the investigation she conducted. And I'll be giving testimony based on these notes. Here I go! Oh, Simon. I mean, not Simon. Bobby, oh my god. Aura Blackwill's theory. Simon isn't the murderer. He was trying to cover for someone. Someone else was at the scene at the time. They say Simon committed the murder. I mean, if he really was out to steal that moon rock, then why the rolling case? Because he was using it to hide someone inside, that's why. And the only person small enough to fit in that case was Athena Sykes. And that's Miss Blackwill's theory. It totally goes in the face of the official ruling, huh? About the case she mentions, there were other rolling cases like that one in the lab. But they're not for traveling. They're apparently for moving parts and equipment. I vaguely remember seeing these 3 cases, all different sizes. At the last trial, they thought that Prosecutor Blackquill used the case to steal the rock. And they had a perfectly good reason to think that too. You see, there's a security camera in the corridor that leads to the robotics lab. And that camera captured footage of Blackquill leaving the scene with the case. I can see why that footage helped to bring his trial to a quick end. It's very convincing, that's for sure. To the court record. That case, by the way, was later discovered outside the Space Center grounds. Speaking of after the incident, where was the defendant, Athena Sykes, found? She was found on the 4th floor of the Space Center in the Sykes family residence. Prosecutor Blackquill most likely brought her there after the incident. In addition, it's unknown where Miss Sykes was at the estimated time of death. Miss Sykes was too confused by the shock of her mother's death to give proper testimony, and there was no witness or evidence to tell us where she might have been. So what you're saying is Miss Sykes didn't have an alibi? That is what the evidence is saying, yes. I understand the reasoning behind the theory, but I'm far from convinced. The victim is the accused mother. Are you actually claiming an 11-year-old girl? Of course, the girl had a very strong motive. Dr. Sykes was a psychologist who wrote many papers about speech and emotions. You're aware of Athena Sykes' special ability, aren't you, Your Honor? Are you referring to that therapy thing? Yes, she's done it quite a few times in court. The ability to read emotions from speech and the subject of her mother's research. Well, as long as it benefits society, I don't see any particular problem researching it. I don't like where this is heading. Not one bit. Dr. Sykes was so intent on her research, she forced her daughter to undergo experiments. Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you seriously suggesting? I've done my best to be delicate, but even you can't deny it to be true, Mr. Wright. No longer able to withstand the anguish of the experiments, Miss Sykes felt her only choice was to kill her own mother. Ah! Order! Order in the court! What a tragic story. I hardly want to believe it myself. But we must proceed. Mr. Wright, if you could. Detective Fulbright, please refer to the notes. Oh, why couldn't we just have... whatever. Cross-examination! Alright, we're going to press on the statement about, the only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena. Or Athena. Okay.
Hold it!
But that's nothing more than conjecture, and it's hardly the only possibility. In that case, what do you think Prosecutor Blackquill had in that case? I think it was the moonrock.
Objection!
Oops. There were 3 cases at the scene, but Prosecutor Blackquill used the largest one. The moonrock was egg-shaped and only about 8 inches in diameter. It wouldn't have made any sense to use the largest case there just to move the rock.
Objection!
Be that as it may, it doesn't prove Miss Sykes was inside. Then let me ask you this. Can you come up with a better theory of what was in the case? Well, Mr. Wright, can you? Yikes, give the guy some time to think. Let's see. Should I try and bluff my way through what could have been in that case? Of course, that's what you're best at! I know exactly what Prosecutor Blackquill carried from the scene. I just have to find something else that was missing, right? No sweat. Ooh, I'd be very interested in hearing your theory. If it's true, that is. This is a crime scene photo taken after Prosecutor Blackquill left, correct? All we have to do is compare this with this photo of Prosecutor Blackquill to see what's missing. If he took something with him, then it should be in one of these photos. Lady Luck, don't fail me now. Alright, Mr. Wright, let us hear your theory. What did Prosecutor Blackquill take from the scene of the murder? This lovely little arm thing.
Take that!
Or not. Or yes! Okay, good. Please notice that there is a robot part on the top of the cart in this photo. However, in this photo taken after the crime, the robot part is gone. In other words, this part is something that was taken from the scene of the crime. You do appear to be right. I don't see it in the second picture. But it's just a piece of junk. How important could it be? Is it really just an insignificant robot part? Speaking of which... What are you looking at? I'm going to start charging for each glance per eyeball. Stingy, stingy. What happened to the age of free previews? Right. Your Honor, about the robot part. Doesn't it look like it could be an arm from this robot here? Well, now that you mention it, it does, doesn't it? But the case is still too big to be practical for just a moonrock and a robot arm. But was it really just one arm that was in there? If it wasn't Athena in the case, then maybe. I believe there was another robot at that scene that looks just like the one here. Your Honor, it is the defense's assertion that it was this other robot that was in the case. What?
Objection!
We can't be certain that part belonged to a robot. Yes, it looks like the arm of the one before us, but it could be something else entirely. Besides, it's wrapped entirely in bandaging, making it difficult to verify what it is.
Objection!
Are you sure? I can't believe I still remember this. It's been like ages since I played. I know for a fact that it is a robot arm. I can even tell which robot it belonged to, just by looking at it. With this information, we can investigate whether it was there at the time or not. But Mr. Wright, I thought you were more of the technologically illiterate type. When did you become such an expert? I feel somehow abandoned. Aww, Judge. Not to worry, Your Honor. I still know next to nothing about machines. But I know this piece of evidence proves which robot arm it belongs to. One of these is it? Am I presenting this? Because I don't see the picture, so... The robot in this picture is named Ponko. But take a look at Ponko's arm. It was Miss Sykes who bandaged it up like that. She must have thought that machines healed in the same way that people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. It reminds me of my own grandchild. The robot arm at the crime scene had the same bandaging wrapped around it. In other words, This robot arm could belong to none other than Ponko. Rubber, 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 rubber. Order in the court! Order, I say! Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you have to say to this? I concede that the robot is about the same size as a child, but it cannot grab its knees and curl itself up into a ball. Even if it was the largest of the case, the robot couldn't have possibly fit in there. The case does come up to about mid-thigh on Prosecutor Blackquill. I see your point. The robot is much taller than that. They got me there. So then, did Prosecutor Blackquill make Ponko fit into the case by dismantling her? Of course Ponko would fit. All Prosecutor Blackquill had to do was dismantle her. Once taken apart, the robot could have easily fit inside that rolling case. It appears to be a robot assembly device.
Disassemble anything in a flash. Push the dismantle button. That sounds pretty neat. Can I push it, Mr. Nick?
No, Pearls! It sounds rather violent, but Mr. Wright does have a point there.
Objection!
Except there was a body on the table where robots are dismantled and assembled. There would have been no room to take the robot apart.
Objection!
But what if it wasn't done on the table? What if the katana was used instead? You mean the sword? Yes, Your Honor. Miss Blackquill, I'd like your opinion as a woman of science. Isn't it true that the katana could have been used to take the robot apart? I suppose so. Their joints aren't made of very tough material. A blade could slice through them. Good to know. Thank you for your expert opinion, Miss Blackquill. Thanks to you, we now know that the existence of the severed arm in this photo proves that Ponko was taken apart. In addition, since the rest of Ponko was not found at that scene, we can conclude that the true meaning of this photo is very different from the original interpretation. You can't mean... That's exactly what I mean. This photo does not capture the moment of the murder. It is instead a picture of the moment after the robot was sliced apart. The blood you see where the arm was cut off was transferred there by the bloody katana. Most likely, the rest of Ponko is scattered around Prosecutor Blackwell's feet. Not hearing this. Therefore, what was transported inside that case was not the defendant, but a robot. Miss Sykes never was at the scene at the time of the murder. Ah! My head! My head! My body! Oh, where is it? Bam! I pushed that too hard, too fast again. Order! Order in the court! It's true that Ponko was found in pieces after the murder, and I'll admit I repaired her myself afterwards. Thanks for the update! Yes, I'm finally making some progress. Hopefully I've gotten at least one step closer to proving both Athena and Prosecutor Blackquill innocent. Man, you really need to stop thinking hopeful, because Edgeworth is gonna turn this whole thing around. And it's gonna suck! Well played, Mr. Wright. You've made your point abundantly clear. I concede that it wasn't the defendant inside the rolling case, but the robot. Alright, what's going on here? It's never good when he plays things this straight. Nope! Does the prosecution withdraw its claim that the defendant was carried from the scene? No, Your Honor, my claim hasn't changed.
Objection!
But Ponko and Miss Sykes couldn't have both been inside that case.
Objection!
Let me finish, right? The notion that the case was used to carry Miss Sykes was Miss Blackwell's theory. I have been of a different opinion from the outset. Now I finally have the opportunity to voice my theory. Oh, God. Thanks to the defense. Edgeworth. He's been one step ahead of me this whole time. In that case, how do you propose the defendant left the crime scene? Simple. The footage only shows Prosecutor Blackquill from behind. What's more, he's holding his arm in front of his body as if he were holding something. Or someone. That's hardly evidence. I have proof. The short coat Prosecutor Blackquill was wearing. The victim's blood was found on the front of it, and the stain had a highly distinctive shape. A blood stain with a distinctive shape. Please continue, Prosecutor Edgeworth. 7 years ago, the defendant was known to constantly wear a certain item, of which there is only one in the world, a special pair of headphones made just for her.
She always wore these big, heavy-looking headphones. She said her mother made them for her as part of her research.
Blah! I'm doing that weird British thing. Analysis shows the bloodstain to be in the exact same shape as these headphones. In other words, this was no mere blood spatter. The blood went from the victim's body to the headphones, and then was imprinted onto Prosecutor Blackwell's coat like a stamp. A most gruesome stamp indeed. Blackquill carried Miss Sykes, who had been hit by splatter, away from the crime scene. This proves that Athena Sykes was, without question, present at the crime scene. And that concludes the prosecution's argument. God damn it, Edgeworth! Nah! Order! If the defendant was indeed at the crime scene, it deepens the suspicion against her.
Objection!
But we've also shown that the robot was there at the scene as well.
Objection!
I hope you're not making that ridiculous claim that a simple robot was the real murderer. I don't really think that, no, but you can't say the possibility isn't there. Detective Fulbright, was the robot questioned at the time? No, I don't see any record of it. I believe it was considered unrelated to the case. But as it turned out, the robot was actually integrally related. Your Honor, the defense would like to call Ponko to the stand. A robot weakness? Oh, why are you surprised? Honestly. This is Phoenix Wright. We've had parrots and whales. Order! Order in the court! Prosecutor Edwards, what do you think about this? Mr. Wright has called all manner of witnesses to the stand over the years. See, even Edgeworth gets it. So why not a robot? Nothing surprises me anymore with him. Very well, I will allow the witness. Bailiff, please summon the robot named Ponko. Oh boy. Robot boobs. Witness, please state your name and occupation.
My name is not Witness! My name is Ponko!
Yes, I realize that, but when you are at the witness stand, you are the witness.
No, I'm not! I'm Ponko! Say it with me! Ponko!
What an utterly inflexible little robot. You're the last person who should be calling anybody inflexible. Exactly. Oh, you remind me of my grandchild who just learned his own name. Oh, how precious. Alright, Ponko. I'm going to ask you some questions.
Questions? You have questions? Hooray! What are your questions?
I want to know if you were there at the scene of the murder of Metis Sykes. It was 7 years ago on the 7th of October around 2 p.m. in the robotics lab.
Certainly! Just one moment. Searching data. Search complete. Yes, I was there in the robotics lab.
Rubble as in rubble rubbles. It would seem this robot's testimony is necessary to this case after all. This is great. I just knew Ponko must have seen something important. A murder committed right before this poor little girl's eyes. It's inexcusable. The judge seems ready to adopt Ponko as another grandchild. Judge, please. So, little Ponko, do you think you can give us your testimony today? Sure. You know what? I'll just go through it. What I saw.
I went to the robotics lab at 2 p.m. for my regular recharge. Just as I was about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy Metis. And then Mommy Metis fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I don't know anything. After I charged up, I was cleaning the room and Mr. Simon came in. And then an error occurred. This is no data. There is no data after that point.
Aw, Ponko. Well, it sounds like the defendant was without question at the scene. However, it doesn't appear that the witness saw the actual moment of the murder. I disagree. This testimony shows that the defendant did indeed commit the crime. Oh? Well, we're going to find out how in the next video, because we are at 30 minutes, but that's probably because I was talking too much at the beginning. I'm sorry. But, trying to get back into doing this again, so I am sorry if the recording is, kind of mediocre for this one. But anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video then, alright?